Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Reading from Bhagavad-Gita as it is, Chapter 11, Universal Form, text number 54. Bhakjatu Anyashakya Evam Vido Arjuna Yatum Drishtum Cha Tadvena Valeshtum Cha Parantapa. Word for word, Bhakya, by devotional service, to, by, Anyaya, not being mixed with fruitive activities or speculative knowledge. Shakya, possible. Aham, I. Evam, Vidya, like this. Arjuna, O Arjuna. Yatum, to know. Vishtum, to see. Cha, and. Advena, in fact. Vavishtum, to enter into. Cha, also. Prantapa, or subdue the enemy. Translation, purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. My dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am, standing before you, can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mystery of my understanding. Now this purport by Srila Prabhupada is 4 pages, so I'm going to cover half the purport today. And first, everybody's class tomorrow will finish the purport. Omarya Turandasya Janajana Sakaya Sakyanikam Jana Tasmay Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yanarutale Swayam Rupa Gidamayam Tantasya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Does the sound okay? Sound is okay, too much bass. It's too loud. Does the sound okay? Sounds okay? Not too loud. So this is the end of this chapter, and at the request of Arjuna, Krishna showed his universal form. So this may cause some confusion in some people's minds. So I'm going to read the commentary by Bhagavad-Gita on this verse. Only one paragraph. When Krishna changed into the thousand-headed form, Arjuna's vision also became suitably transformed. Arjuna's vision, which could see the human form of Krishna, the ocean of beauty and charm, was not suitable to see the universal form. Thus it should be understood that Arjuna's eyes were endowed with powers to see the Krishna in that thousand-headed form. But fallacious reasoning, one should not accept the explanation that the form of Krishna is inferior to the universal form. Nor should one think that Arjuna had material eyes like other men, therefore needed spiritual eyes to see the universal form. There are many references in Mahabharata and other scriptures stating that Arjuna was the avatar of the Lord called Nara. So, the four Pandavas, Arjuna was the only one that was a Shaktavesh avatar, or an empowered incarnation of the Lord, but as a jiva. And here, Bhagavad-Gita says that this because he was given special eyes to see the thousand-headed form of the universal form, doesn't mean that Arjuna was an ordinary person. He still was Arjuna. Like scientists and astrologers, astronomers, they use different instruments to try to see things. They don't change their identity. So Arjuna's identity remained the same, even though he had to be endowed with special special eyes to see the universal form. So verses 45 to 55 are expressing the fact that only devotees can see this two-handed form of Krishna. After Krishna showed his universal form to Arjuna, then he showed his four-arm form, then he showed his two-arm form. So, it's a misunderstanding. If you look in the dictionary, it's under Krishna, it will say that Krishna is an expansion of Vishnu, because Krishna has two hands and Vishnu has four hands, four arms. So they reason that because Vishnu has four arms and Krishna only has two arms, that Krishna is like us, as we have two arms, so therefore Krishna must be an expansion of Vishnu. But that is not the fact. Krishna is too Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna is always the source of everything, Ham Savasha Prabhava. And so, from everything, Krishna is expanded from Krishna. So here it says that only by devotional service can one understand Krishna, can Krishna be seen, and one can enter the mystery of his understanding about Krishna's name, form, qualities, personality. In the index to this Bhagavad-Gita, devotional service is talked about more than 200 times. So, this devotional service, when I first joined the Krishna conscious movement, I heard about devotional service for the first time, and I didn't know what that meant. It took me some time before I could actually understand the meaning of devotional service, because that's not a common expression in the Western world and other religions. By Anyabhilasi Tasunyam Jnana Karmanamitam Anukulena Krishna Sano Bhakta Uttamam. Rupa Goswami, he gives the definition of pure devotional service, which is free from jnana and free from karma. And so that means it's free from mental speculation, free from any desire for fruitive activities, free from yoga, free from the desire for mystic powers. All these things are not the way to understand Krishna and to know Krishna. There may be different paths, but they're indirect paths. Like the Empire State Building has 102 floors, stories high, and if you want to get to the top floor, you can go up the stairs. But by the time you get there, they'll say, "We're sorry, we're closed today. Come back tomorrow." But if you take the elevator, you will get there in 5 or 10 minutes. So devotional service is like that. It's a direct process. In that chapter, Arjuna asked which is better, devotional service or the other processes, and the impersonal process. And Krishna says the true devotional service is the best. So this is I'll read the part and start reading the purport. Krishna can be understood only by the process of undivided devotional service. That means free from jnana and free from karma, or free from any other tinge of material aspirations. He explicitly explains this in this verse so that unauthorized commentators who try to understand Bhagavad-Gita by their speculative process will know that they're simply wasting their time. Prabhupada said, one lady approached Prabhupada in New York in 1966 and asked, "Swamiji, can you recommend the Bhagavad-Gita for me to read?" And Prabhupada said that it was not possible because you go into the bookstore, you have a religious section, and there may be 20, 30, or who knows how many Bhagavad-Gitas have been written, translated into English and written by different people. But it says here, by speculative process, they're simply wasting their time. And Prabhupada says, why they're sticking their nose in other people's business. So, no one can understand Krishna or how he came from the parents in a four-arm form and once changed into a two-arm form. These things are very difficult to understand by studying the Vedas or by philosophical speculation. Therefore, it's clearly stated here, and no one can see him or enter into understanding of these matters. Those who, however, are very experienced students of Vedic literature can learn about them from the Vedic literature in so many ways. So this includes the philosophers, the university, most universities, they have a department, Indianology, a philosophy department, where they study the Vedas and are called Vedantists. They have they can give a scholarly presentation on different aspects of the Vedas and quote verses and do so many things. But they can't get an understanding because they're not experienced students, which means they're not devotees. And Prabhupada, when in America, in California, they wanted to have a course. They wanted to teach a course on the Bhagavad-Gita, but one of the professors at the university said that we can't give you permission to give a course because you people are nice people, but the problem is you chant too much. And it doesn't say that anywhere in the Vedas. So Prabhupada wrote him a letter and explaining Satatam Kirtiyantam Ham. The devotee is always chanting the glories of the Lord. And that is the process for this age. The man wasn't convinced, so he wrote back to Prabhupada and quoted so many verses from the Puranas, different places, where he's trying to justify his position. And then Prabhupada wrote back again for the second time, and then he wrote back, then Prabhupada wrote him a letter for the third time, and finally he was convinced and said, okay, you can have your Bhagavad Gita class. So because he wasn't a devotee, and he didn't have a spiritual master, and he was only a scholar, he could quote so many scriptural references, but he couldn't understand the simple thing that chanting the holy name is Yuga Dharma, and that it's not, the devotees don't chant too much, the devotees don't chant enough. It says we should chant 24 hours a day, not just 16 rounds. Anyway, he wasn't a demon, he wasn't inimical, he was challenging Prabhupada, but in a friendly way, and he became a friend of the devotees. But Prabhupada was more expert at, and Prabhupada had so many room conversations, morning walks, where he had different conversations with different personalities, professors and teachers, and so many public people and important people in society, so-called important people. And Prabhupada would always make so many points to try to make them understand that Krishna consciousness was relevant, more relevant to society than anything else, and Krishna consciousness was what should be the main thrust in the human society. And in this way, Prabhupada was never defeated by anyone, even though they were big personalities. And Prabhupada went to Perth in Australia. When Prabhupada went to Australia, he went for Rath Yatra in Sydney, but they weren't ready to have Rath Yatra. It was going to take them 2 weeks more. So they decided that they would take Prabhupada to Perth, which is a city farthest away from anything in Australia. And they thought Prabhupada could go there and rest for some time and come back for Rath Yatra. But as soon as Prabhupada got there, he said, bring people here, I want to talk to them. Bring important people here to preach to. So Prabhupada was not interested in sitting idly, but he always wanted to preach to people and try to make them understand the importance of this Krishna conscious movement. And here it says that those who are experienced students can learn about him, Krishna, from the Vedic literatures in so many ways. There's so many rules and regulations. If one at all wants to understand Krishna, he must follow the rules, the regulated principles described by the authoritative scriptures. That means we must practice Vaidhi Bhakti. Guru Krishna Prasadi by Bhakti Lata Beach. So at the time of initiation, then one has to make a vow that he will follow the four regular principles: no eating, no gambling, no intoxication, no illicit sex. And the holy name of the Lord, Goloke Premadana Arinam Sankirtana. The holy name of the Lord comes from the spiritual world, and it says in Chaitanya Charitamrita, the holy name doesn't wait for initiation. But Rupa Goswami says, one Ado Guru Ashraya, that the first principle is that one must accept the spiritual master. And one may chant the holy name, attain perfection without a spiritual master, but it's highly unlikely, as long as one is in the material world, has a material body, and is under the influence of the three modes of material nature, it's hardly unlikely that anyone could follow strictly the principle of Krishna consciousness on his own without being deviated, without being initiated. This is almost impossible. So initiation is required. And following the rules and regulations is also required for everyone, even if one is a Uttama Adhikari and has attained a higher perfection, he still follows the rules and regulations just to set the example for the other devotees. So here it says that there are many rules and regulations, and if one at all wants to understand Krishna, he must follow the regulated principles described in the authoritative literature. One can perform penance in accordance with these principles. For example, to undergo serious penance, one may observe fasting on Janmashtami. On the day on which Krishna appeared, and 2 days of Ekadasi, 11th day after the new moon, 11th day after the full moon. So it is the austerity that we follow that recommended in the scripture. Not we make up our own kind of austerity. Sometimes you see on the Parikram Marg someone maybe standing on one foot, or standing has his head in the sand. You go to Kumbh Mela, you see so many people do so many austerities, sitting in the hot summer with fire all around them. But these are not authorized, so they don't help one advance in Krishna consciousness. They only make the heart hard. So these Naga Babas who are very strict and very austere, they don't wear any clothes, and it's very cold, but they're not performing devotional service, so they're not actually attaining love for Krishna, and they're only hard in making their heart hard, not just wasting their time trying to follow some spiritual path that won't take them back to Godhead. As far as charity is concerned, it is plain that charity should be given to devotees of Krishna who are engaged in devotional service to spread the Krishna philosophy and Krishna consciousness throughout the world. Krishna consciousness is a benediction to humanity. Lord Chaitanya was appreciated by Rupa Goswami as the most munificent man of charity because love of Krishna is very difficult to achieve, was distributed freely by him. Sri Krishna Chaitanya, what is it? I forgot, what is that verse? Mano Mahamanandaya Krishna Prabhadate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namo Guru Say Namaha. That Lord Chaitanya is the most munificent incarnation and most magnanimous incarnation. Those words are very similar. because he's distributing love of God, love of Krishna freely to everyone. And this no other incarnation ever has done. When Krishna appeared 5,000 years ago, he demanded surrender, Saradharma Priktaja, Mamikam Saranamanja. The Lord Chaitanya, he didn't demand surrender, he gave freely. The Lord Chaitanya was in Navadvip. He didn't give love of God to the people there because they were smarta Brahmins and too much attached to their ritualistic ceremonies. They weren't qualified recipients. But when Lord Chaitanya went to South India, after he took sannyas, he went to Jagannath Puri, then he traveled in South India for 6 years. And when he did that, whoever he met, he would embrace. And that person would immediately get the love of God, Krishna Prema, and exhibit ecstatic symptoms. And then that person would go back to his village and give the holy name to other people, and they would also get Krishna consciousness, and they would go and spread Krishna consciousness. In this way, he inundated the whole country, South India, freely. Didn't discriminate between man, women, children. Gave it to everyone. So this is the mercy, Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya came 500 years ago. Lord Krishna came 5,000 years ago. And Krishna says he comes every millennium. It's Krishna with the dark complexion, this two-handed form of Krishna, who's having his pastimes in Vrindavan. He only comes once in the day of Brahma. And when he comes as the Yuga avatar in Dwapara Yuga, Lord Chaitanya comes also in Kali Yuga as the Chana avatar, which means he's covered. He assumes the role of complexion of Radharani. He came to inaugurate the Sankirtan movement, but he also came to taste the mood of Radharani's love for him. And therefore, he's not blackish. He has a golden complexion. Krishna Varna Tusha Krishna. So, Lord Chaitanya is gold on the outside and black on the inside, because Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Narayana, he's non-different than Radha and Krishna. But many people don't know that, don't accept that. See, when Lord Chaitanya went to Jagannath Puri, he fainted in front of the deity of Lord Jagannath. And the Chokidar thought he was an imitation, Sahajya, and he wanted to beat him. But Sarabhuma Bhattacharya stopped him. He took Lord Chaitanya to his house and had to wait 9 hours for Lord Chaitanya to come to external consciousness. He was in a ecstatic trance of love of God. But even though he saw that, he didn't accept that Lord Chaitanya was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But Gopinath Acharya, his brother-in-law, had to quote from the Mahabharata, Srimad Bhagavatam, to convince Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya that Lord Chaitanya was the Yuga Avatar and was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this way, Lord Chaitanya converted Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Although he was considered the reservoir of all bad logic, he was a Mayavadi impersonalist, and he had many thousands of followers, but he didn't know about the personal form of the Lord of devotional service. But Lord Chaitanya was able to convert him into becoming a Vaishnava. So one day, Lord Chaitanya went to the house of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and brought him Jagannath Mahaprasadam. And as soon as Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya got up from bed, before he even took bath or anything, he chanted, Lord Chaitanya heard him chanting the Maha Mantra, and then Lord Chaitanya gave him Jagannath Mahaprasadam. And it says when you receive Jagannath Mahaprasadam, you should honor it immediately. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya did that. In this way, Lord Chaitanya was very happy to see that he had been converted into a Vaishnava. So Prabhupada is talking about charity, and he says this is the greatest charity that one can give to the world is give people a chance to attain love of God. If one worships as prescribed in the temples in India, there are some statue, usually of Vishnu or Krishna. That is a chance to progress by offering and respect to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Today, for the beginners in devotional service to Lord, temple worship is essential, and this is confirmed in the Vedic literature. Some boy was wearing a t-shirt today in the temple room. It said, God exists in this world. God is here in this world, said on the t-shirt. And I pointed to the deities and said, yes, you're in the right place. God is here. I don't know if he understood English. That's what it said on his t-shirt. God is present in this world. Yasha deve prabhaktir yasha deve tata guru tajaita karita hi arta rakshatan sante ma'manaha. One of the unflinching faith, unflinching devotion for the Supreme Lord, and is directed by the spiritual master, in whom he has similar unflinching faith, can see the Supreme Personality of God by revelation. One cannot understand Krishna by mental speculation. The one who does not take personal training under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, it's impossible to even begin to understand Krishna. There are many mental speculators, armchair speculators. They try to say that everything's one, and God's not a person. And the other most religions in the world, they can't accept the fact that God's a person. And if you try to tell them that God's a person, they become angry. In the Muslim religion, they say God is Naraka. He is impersonal. He can't have a form. That's why around Devi went all over India breaking the deities. But he said the deity worship was a product of the devil. And in the Jewish religion, the rabbis, the head of the Jewish religion, they can't accept that God has a form either. They become angry if you even try to mention that God has a form. Because most people think when you say God has a form, he has a form like you and me, and he has a material body and he's suffering like us, so how can he be God? But we know Krishna's body is Satchidananda Vigraha, eternally full of knowledge and bliss. When he comes in the material world, by his Atma Maya, by his internal potency, he doesn't take a material body like we have, even though it may appear that he does so. The personal form of Krishna, the word used here too, specifically used to indicate that no other process can be recommended, or can be successful in understanding Krishna consciousness. So the Abdul Guru Ashraya, the beginning is to accept the bona fide spiritual master. So the spiritual master, he must have full control of his senses and know the science of Krishna. This is a spiritual master. If he can't control his senses and he doesn't know the science of Krishna consciousness, then it shouldn't be accepted. So many bogus gurus have heaping 20 women sannyasis and don't understand anything about devotional service or Krishna consciousness. They simply make a show that they're big spiritual leaders. So there's two kinds of people in this world, the cheaters and the cheated. So people who want something cheap, they get cheated by a cheating guru. Prabhupada said he could add millions of followers if he didn't stress the regulated principles. He didn't want cheap followers. He wanted genuine followers. So everyone in this movement, before they take initiation, have to make a vow that we follow the 4 regular principles: no meeting, no gambling, no intoxication, no illicit sex, and then we'll chant 16 rounds on the beats every day with the Maha Mantra. And they asked Srila Prabhupada what would please him most at different times. And one time he said that if you chant 16 rounds all at one time, that was Prabhupada's answer. Other times he may have said different things. Or if you learn to love Krishna. So chanting 16 rounds takes approximately 2 hours. So or it may take more if you're a little slow in the beginning. But it should not be neglected. When they were constructing the temple, they were making the temple ready for Prabhupada's arrival in Los Angeles. The devotees were working very hard. They were only sleeping 4 hours. So Prabhupada went there, he asked them, are you chanting your 16 rounds? And they said, no, we don't have time, we're only sleeping 4 hours. And Prabhupada said, then you should sleep less. He didn't take any excuses. He said, you must chant 16 rounds every day. And if somehow, if you're sick or something comes up and you can't finish your 16 rounds in one day, then you have to chant those rounds you missed the next day, plus 16 rounds the next day. At least you have to finish your prescribed number of rounds, 16 rounds for the last day, before you eat or sleep or do anything. So Prabhupada made this concession. When he went to America, he was following the Gaudiya Math, and Bhaktisiddhanta had ordered everyone who lived in the Math, in the temple, to chant 64 rounds. So Prabhupada told his disciples, you should chant 64 rounds. But they said to Prabhupada, no, you can't do it. Not possible. So Prabhupada said, okay, then you should chant 32 rounds. And Gaudiya said, no, even that's not possible. So finally Prabhupada said, 16 rounds. That's the minimum. At least you can do that, because it only takes 2 hours or more, or 2 or 3 hours. So everyone makes that vow at the time of initiation, and it should not be neglected. If you miss your rounds, if you get sick, or you can't chant your rounds, then you have to make them up. Otherwise, you have to stay in the material world till you complete your rounds. So the word two, the personal form of Krishna, the two-handed form, and the four-handed are described as Sudur Darshan, very difficult to see. They are completely different from the temporary material universal form shown to Arjuna. The four-armed form of Narayan and two-handed form of Krishna are eternal and transcendental, whereas the universal form exhibited to Arjuna is temporary. The word tu anye na drishta purvam in text 47 states that before Arjuna, no one had seen that universal form. Also, they suggested that amongst the devotees there was no necessity of showing it. That form was exhibited by Krishna at the request of Arjuna, so in the future when one represents himself as an incarnation of God, people can ask him to see his universal form. So, universal form was shown to Arjuna for the benefit of all those in the material world, but not as a temporary manifestation. It's not permanent. It can be shown, Krishna can show it and he can withdraw it. But the two-handed form, the four-arm form of Krishna, those are eternal Satchidananda Vigraha forms. The word na, used repeatedly in the previous verse, indicate that one should not be very much proud of such credentials as an academic education in vague literature. One must take the devotional service of Krishna, only then one can attempt to write commentaries on Bhagavad-Gita. So we already discussed that the people who aren't bona fide and aren't devotees who write commentaries on Bhagavad-Gita don't give the proper understanding, and they speculate about the meaning of Bhagavad-Gita. When Prabhupada went to America, he hadn't finished translating and printing his Bhagavad-Gita, so he took the Bhagavad-Gita from Dr. Radha Krishna, who was the Vice President of India. And in the Bhagavad-Gita, in his Bhagavad-Gita, he says, when Krishna says, Mama Baba Mad Bhakto, always think of me. He says it's not Krishna you should think of, it's the Krishna from within. So this is an impersonal understanding. There's no difference between Krishna outside and within, inside. So because he wasn't a bona fide to write a commentaries on Bhagavad Gita, gave the wrong explanation. And sometimes they say that the Bhagavad Gita, the battlefield is the body, our five Pandavas are the senses. They give they concoct some idea about the Bhagavad Gita. None of these things are bona fide. When people read these different commentaries on Bhagavad Gita, it doesn't change their life. They don't become devotees. Before Prabhupada went to America, not one single person became a devotee of Krishna by reading the Bhagavad Gita until they read Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita and got the association of devotees. Then they started becoming devotees. So we should not hear any Krishna Katha from non-devotees, especially this Bhagavad-Gita. They have this program where they read the Bhagavatam for 7 days. That is also not bona fide. It says Nityam Bhagavata Sevita. The Bhagavatam should be spoken, heard on a daily basis. And people who do that, who take money to recite the Bhagavatam, is an offense to the Bhagavatam. The Bhagavatam speaker should not take money to recite the Bhagavatam, should not make a profession of reciting Bhagavatam, should not take any money, and should not expect to get any money. The person who is speaking Bhagavatam should be completely detached and do it as a service to humanity. So when people hear Bhagavatam from a pure devotee, then their hearts will be changed. Otherwise, people hear Bhagavad-Gita, they hear the Bhagavatam for 7 days, but they don't change their lifestyle. They simply stay and continue their sinful activities. But if one hears from the right source, then one can get purified. The heart can become purified. And they told Darpana Marjan, by chanting the holy name, the heart becomes purified. The problem is that the heart is impure, and they have so many anarthas in the heart, and so many unwanted things, lust, greed, anger, so many things that there are due to the modes of passion and ignorance. So by hearing Bhagavatam from a pure devotee, one can come to the level of goodness. And from the level of goodness, one could come to the level of pure goodness. And this is why Prabhupada was able to start his movement and get many followers who could follow the Four Regular Principles, because they were able to come to the mode of goodness, which was not appreciated by their family members for the most part. The family members thought there was something wrong with them because they weren't normal anymore. They weren't eating meat, they weren't gambling, they weren't having illicit sex, they weren't taking intoxication. So the family members thought that this person, there's something wrong with him, he's not normal. So they were unhappy that Prabhupada had made people into devotees, but the devotees were much happier in that way. So they stayed devotees, despite the fact that there was objections from the family members, friends and family members. Still they got this Bhubaneshwara Nivartante. They got a higher taste and were happy performing devotional service. So they didn't want to go back to the lower taste, which is stale. And it's, Prahlad Maharaj says, it's called chewing the chewed. When you chew something, sugar cane, has a sweet taste, but after some time you spit it out. And then if you chew it again, it doesn't have a sweet taste. So material life is like that. You may get some pleasure from material activities, but it's only temporary. And if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, you don't get any pleasure anymore. So it's not permanent. The devotional service is different. We get pleasure by doing our daily sadhana, by doing service, so we're not interested in doing anything else. Krishna changes from the universal form to the four-handed form of Narayan, then his own natural form of two hands. This indicates that the four-handed form, other forms mentioned in Vedic literatures, are all emanations of the original two-handed Krishna. He is the original origin of all emanations. Krishna's distinct eyes. Krishna is distinct even from these forms. What to speak of the impersonal conception? As far as the four-handed form of Krishna are concerned, they state clearly even the most identical four-handed form of Krishna is known as Mahavishnu, who is lying on the causal ocean, from whose reading so many innumerable universes are passing out and entering, is also expansion of the Supreme Lord. As stated in the Brahma Samhita, Yashaika Nishvashtita Kalam Avalamya Jivanti Loma Ilala Jagat Anandanataha Vishnur Mahan Saiha Asya Kala Vishesho Govindamaribhusha Tamaha Bhajami. The Mahavishnu, into whom the innumerable universes enter, from whom they come forth again simply by his breathing, process is the planetary expansion of Krishna. Therefore I worship Govinda, Krishna, the cause of all causes. So I'm going to stop there. We tried to explain the different points here that devotional service is the only way to understand Krishna, and that the Yuga Dharma is the chanting the holy name. Harinam, 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 Kevalo, Kulina, Stevana, Stevana, Stevana. That's Hiranyata. But the temple worship is also required because, but it's not the Yuga Dharma, but is to keep us pure and to keep us free from material contamination. So therefore, Prabhupada has opened so many temples all over the world so people can come and take the devotional service. Otherwise, if we didn't have temples, no one would come here. When Prabhupada was in Mayapur, one man asked Prabhupada, why did you build a temple here? Prabhupada said, if I hadn't built this temple, then you wouldn't have come here. So the temple worship is required, sadhana is required. Rajashika Prabhu wrote a book, Family Business. He said that everyone, first principle is that we should show up. Everyone should show up for the morning program. That would keep them strong, so they can do book distribution and not fall into Maya. So these things are here, and the main point here is also that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the two-armed form is the original form of Krishna's. Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam, Jai Chanta Kuram Pursan. Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam. Do we have any comments or questions? No question man's here.
As you were saying that we shouldn't hear from outsiders, Bhagavad-Gita and this one. Many people they feel that whatever they are listening from outside, they is appealing to their ears and appealing to their heart. And so that's why they go and listen to the non-devotees Bhagavatam. Non-devotees they say, we don't ask money for ourselves because we need to come, we need a flight ticket, we need to associate those who are singing, we want to pay them. So that's why they ask money like this. That is the thing they say. So can you comment something on it?
Is that a question? I didn't understand.
The devotees, they like to hear the Bhagavad-Gita from the outsiders. They think that they are speaking very nicely in a nice, practical way. And if they are asking money, collecting money, that money they actually you are using for our transport and for the prasadam and other things, whatever the money we are getting from there. And we need to live, so we build a house just like you have built a temple and this one, so we have to do all those things. So what is wrong in that what we are doing?
No, there's nothing wrong with that. It's the speaker of the Bhagavatam himself should not demand a certain amount of money or should not expect people to give him money. For the program, we collect money, but not for the speaker. The speaker has to be pure, unmotivated, and not make a livelihood. It's offense to the Bhagavatam to make a livelihood by reciting Bhagavatam. So one should not make this mistake. And in Jaiva Dharma, the man who was doing that, he was a professional Bhagavatam reciter, and his Guru Maharaj told him, and now you should stop that business. So it's not that we don't accept money. We accept money to put on the program, but not to give directly to the speaker. But if you want to give money to the speaker, you can, but he doesn't ask for money, and he doesn't speak because he's going to get money.
The speaker also, they are devotees and we give them maintenance for the devotees. So they are taking indirectly money from the maintenance department. They give the maintenance to the devotee and they speak also Bhagavatam in the evening, morning. They like to give a seminar and this one. They are interested in giving those things, but they know they are getting the maintenance from the temple.
No, that's a different story. That doesn't have anything to do with the Bhagavatam.
Okay, thank you very much.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Bhagavad-Gita ki jai. More permanent.